Jason Kidd has over 12,000 career assists, more than anyone in NBA history, not named John Stockton. And with 9 all-defensive selections, Kidd's one of the best defensive guards ever. Wherever he played, Jason immediately brought a winning culture and championship aspirations. However, Kidd only averaged over 17 points per game once in his career, and they used to call him Asen because he had no J. So, how good was Jason Kidd, actually? Kidd was born in 1973 in San Francisco, but he was raised in Oakland, home of many past and current NBA players. However, Jason's first sport wasn't basketball, it was soccer. But then, in the 2nd grade, Jason started playing basketball and soon realized he was a natural hooper. After that, there were only 2 places you could find Jason. If he wasn't in school, he was on a basketball court somewhere. When he got to 8th grade, Jason was such a good player that he became a minor celebrity in Oakland because everybody was gathering at the playgrounds to watch him hoop. As a high school freshman, one college coach approached Kidd, asking if he was a senior and if he had already signed a letter of intent, because Jason had a large frame and had nearly already reached his adult height of 6'4". He was also usually the most athletic player on every court, so it was easy to mistake him for a senior. However, one Oakland native wasn't that impressed with the young Jason Kidd and wanted to teach him a lesson. Gary Payton was from the same Oakland neighborhood as Kidd, but he was 5 years older. And even though Gary wasn't much bigger than Kidd, he was much tougher and more experienced. Payton challenged Kidd to a one-on-one game and didn't let Jason score a single bucket. On top of beating him, Gary destroyed him with trash talk. Jason grew up just playing on the basketball courts, but he didn't know nothing about going to playgrounds, where a lot of guys are going to trash talk to him, challenge his manhood, and things like that. And after such a demoralizing beatdown, Kidd wanted to quit basketball. Oh, there were tears. My parents would ask me what's wrong. I would be like, I think I should pick a different sport because I'm not very good at it. He wouldn't let me score after he told me that he wouldn't let me score. However, Jason's love for basketball was too strong, and he wanted to get better. Payton soon became his mentor, and the 2 Oakland point guards developed a special bond, and Gary's lessons proved to fuel Kidd's success. Jason led St. Joseph High School to a 122-14 record and 2 consecutive state championships. As a senior, he won the Naismith Award as the nation's top high school player, after averaging 25 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and 7 steals per game. During his high school years, Kidd became LeBron James a decade before LeBron James, with a feature in Sports Illustrated as one of the nation's most highly recruited players. Kidd's popularity forced his school to often move their games to the Oracle Arena to accommodate crowds of over 10,000 people who wanted to see Jason in action. And just like LeBron, Kidd was one of the few high school players to play before a nationally televised audience. But despite being wanted by all the major universities, Kidd chose to attend the nearby University of California, Berkeley, a school that was coming off a 10-18 season and had not won a conference title since 1960. But Kidd's arrival immediately turned things around for the Bears. Jason averaged 13 points, 8 assists, and nearly 4 steals per game, which secured him the National Freshman of the Year award. He led California to a 21-9 record and a berth to the NCAA tournament, which was only the 2nd time in 30 years Cal qualified for March Madness.
Maybe the Cal game. How good is Jason Kidd?
The Bears won their first 2 games of the tournament thanks to Kidd's 2 game-winning shots against LSU and Duke, eventually losing to Kansas in the Sweet 16. As a sophomore, Jason improved his averages to 16 points, 9 assists, and 3 steals per game, leading Cal back to the NCAA tournament. He became the first sophomore in the history of the Pac-10 to be named Conference Player of the Year, breaking Kevin Johnson's school records for assists and steals, a feat Kidd accomplished in just 2 seasons, compared to Johnson's 4. After dominating for 2 years, it made no sense for Kidd to continue his college career, and he declared for the 1994 NBA Draft.
With the 2nd pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Jason Kidd.
And just like he did in college, Jason's arrival immediately resulted in more wins for the Mavs. After winning just 11 games in 1993 and 13 games in 94, with Kidd on board, the Mavs won 36 games in 95, narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Kidd averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals per game, securing him the Rookie of the Year award, which he shared with Grant Hill, the only time in history the NBA had co-Rookies of the Year. And because his impact on the horrible Mavs team was so evident, Kidd even received votes for MVP. As a sophomore, Kidd improved his averages to 16 points, 10 assists, and over 2 steals per game, which secured him his first All-Star selection. However, despite Kidd establishing himself as one of the premier point guards in the NBA, the Mavs regressed, winning just 24 games in 1996. It was mainly because the Mavericks were a young team, led by the 3 J's, Jamal Mashburn, Jim Jackson, and Jason Kidd, who were all young guys wanting to go out and party rather than watch game film. But a lot of it came down to Kidd, who wasn't yet accustomed to the NBA game. His biggest problem was that he wasn't a good shooter, for which he earned the nickname Jason Kidd, since there is no J in his game. However, another big issue for Kidd was that he played too fast. Looking back, my mistake was that I only had one gear, the fastest gear. Coming into the league, I knew I had two strengths. I could post guys up and I was fast. Why would I want to take away one of my advantages? As a young player, you think you can take them all. Three guys in front of me, I can take them all. Fast break after fast break, I would beat my own guys down the court. My teammates would always be behind me trying to catch up. But in his third season, Kidd learned to slow down and let the play develop. Just like that, it opened up passing lanes and his options multiplied. He wasn't forcing up shots anymore, and as a result, Kidd's shooting percentages started to improve, and he finally got over 40% from the field and a respectable 37% from three, which was a big improvement from his first two seasons. But due to locker room disagreements, which famously involved the singer Toni Braxton, the Mavericks decided to trade Kidd to Phoenix at the midpoint of the 1997 season.
Mentally, I feel great, and I think that's what I'm going to walk away with this trade, is that mentally I am a new person. There was so much mentally going on in Dallas that I just wasn't playing the same.
And after Kidd's departure from the Mavs, they wouldn't make the playoffs again until 2001. But the Suns were revitalized by his arrival, making the playoffs in each of his 5 seasons with the franchise. During this time, Kidd further established himself as an elite defender, making 3 all-defensive teams, as well as leading the league in assists 3 times in a row from 1999 to 2001. However, despite making the playoffs in each season, the Suns only won one playoff series in 2000, after which they quickly lost to the Lakers. In the summer of 2000, Jason joined Team USA for the Sydney Olympics, helping the Stars and Stripes win a gold medal and leading the team in assists and steals. But after a tumultuous 2001 NBA season that was marked by charges of domestic abuse by Kidd's wife, the Suns decided to part ways with their star point guard. In the 2001 offseason, Jason went to the New Jersey Nets for Stephon Marbury, in what was considered a win-win trade, because Marbury was an all-star who averaged 24 points per game. However, some people, like Kobe Bryant, were convinced that the Suns made a big mistake. What in the world is Phoenix doing? Shortly after joining the Nets, Jason made a bold prediction. New Jersey, winners of just 26 games in 2001, would win at least 40 games. And his promise was proven correct, and then some. The Nets won 52 games in the 2002 regular season, their best result ever since moving to Jersey, and their winningest season since the 70s and the Julius Erving era. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference, behind 15 points and 10 assists per game from Kidd, who finished second in the MVP voting behind Tim Duncan. But even more importantly, the Nets were winning when it mattered most, in the playoffs. As an NBA franchise, the Nets won only one playoff series before Kidd's arrival, dating back to 1984. And in the 2002 season, they first defeated the Pacers, then the Hornets, and in the Eastern Conference Finals, they faced the Celtics with prime Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker. And despite having an inexperienced team behind Kidd, with the rookie Richard Jefferson and sophomore Kenyon Martin, New Jersey defeated the Celtics in 6 games.
The New Jersey Nets are in the NBA Finals.
In a series where Kidd averaged a triple-double with 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists per game. However, in the finals, they faced prime Kobe and Shaq, who were simply too much to handle for anybody on the Nets team. O'Neal averaged 36 and 12 in the series, and one of the most iconic photos in NBA history was made during the finals, when all the Nets players unsuccessfully tried to contain Shaq's dunk. But this experience proved invaluable to the young Nets, who returned to the finals a year later, losing just 2 games in 3 series to win the Eastern Conference. And after 4 games, the finals were tied between the Nets and the San Antonio Spurs. But then another all-time great decided to turn it up a gear. In Game 5, Tim Duncan finished with 29 points and 17 rebounds to secure the win. And in Game 6, he was even better, with 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and an astonishing 8 blocks to win the game and the championship for the Spurs. Kidd averaged 26 and 7 in the series, but the Nets had little offensive firepower and a lack of shooting to feed off his passing, and it wasn't a surprise that they lost to a much deeper, more balanced Spurs team. In the next 4 seasons, the Nets made the playoffs each year, but they never made it further than the second round. Then, in the middle of the 2008 season, Jason Kidd was 34 years old, and he realized that he couldn't win a title with the Nets, so he asked for a trade.
The man who brought a basketball renaissance to New Jersey will likely be wearing different colors after the All-Star break.
The Nets traded him to Dallas, where Kidd joined Dirk Nowitzki, another legend in search of his first championship. When he got to Dallas, Kidd realized that he'd lost a step and couldn't rely on his speed to beat opponents, who were often sagging off him when he had the ball. So, Kidd began working with a shooting coach to try to improve his three-point shot, keep defenses honest, and expand his offensive repertoire. In his first 13 seasons in the league, Kidd shot 34% for three, which wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But in his first half-season back in Dallas, Jason shot 46% from deep. He made 40% of his trays the following year, and then a career-high 42% in 2010. But even though Dallas had a talented team that always won 50-plus games in the regular season, something always went wrong in the playoffs. So before the 2011 season, nobody believed that a 33-year-old Dirk, 34-year-old Jason Terry, and 38-year-old Jason Kidd could improve much from the previous disappointing seasons. But Dallas was different that year. The addition of Tyson Chandler bolstered their interior defense, which addressed their biggest weakness.
Get that shoe out of here!
And adding veteran sharpshooter Peja Stojakovic and giving more minutes to J.J. Barea gave them a big boost off the bench. The Mavs won 57 games in the regular season, and after they struggled in the first round of the playoffs against Portland, they swept the Lakers in the second round. And Kidd's defense on Kobe was a main reason for Dallas's victory in the series. An old man, Jason, limited Bryant to just 23 points per game in the series. In the conference finals, Dallas defeated the young superstar trio of OKC, securing a trip to the NBA Finals against the heavily favored Miami Heat. And it all started according to the Vegas odds, who had Miami as a 3-1 favorite. The Heat won Game 1 and had a commanding lead in Game 2, when Dirk sparked a late Dallas comeback which tied the series. Miami then won Game 3, and again it seemed like LeBron was well on his way to winning his first championship. But the Mavs weren't letting go so easily, and Jason Kidd played an instrumental role in guarding LeBron. For long stretches of the series, Dallas kept James in check by using the much smaller Kidd as his primary defender. Kidd kept digging at the ball, and LeBron was unable to attack him off the dribble. By neutralizing James, who finished with 8 points in Game 4 and 17 points in Game 5, the Mavericks turned the series around. In Game 6, Kidd was a game-high plus 18, and with a late fourth-quarter scoring spree from Nowitzki, the Mavs won their first title in franchise history.
There are times a charm. It's a dream.
And while Dirk collected the majority of the praise, and deservedly so, Kidd's impact on this series was enormous. He was a series-high plus 42 across 6 games, and his defense on James and timely three-pointers gave Dallas a much-needed boost in pivotal moments. Jason Kidd's DNA is all over this thing, Coach Carlisle said after winning the title. You don't see some of the gaudy statistics in terms of points scored or things like that, but the way he has facilitated our team on the court with his leadership ability, his knowledge of our team, the example he sets by playing with a certain level of intensity and being cool under pressure, he is one of the all-time greats. For Jason Kidd, this moment completely validates his career as being one of those superstars. Jason stayed in Dallas for one more season, after which he decided to join the Knicks for one last hurrah.
I think Jason Kidd just realized it makes more sense for him at this point in his career, almost 40, to try to go with the win now team.
And even at the age of 40, Kidd had once again done what he did all his career, bringing up championship pedigree and a winning mentality to the team. In Jason's lone year with the Knicks, he helped the franchise win 50 games for the first time since the 2000 season and secure their first division title since 1994. And just like Coach Carlisle, the Knicks coach Mike Woodson echoed the same sentiment about Kidd and his play. Veteran leadership on and off the court was a huge factor for our team that recorded 54 victories. Jason provided an incredible voice inside our locker room, and I considered it an honor to say I coached him. After the 2013 season, 19 seasons and 1,549 games in the NBA, Jason Kidd finally decided to hang up his sneakers. He ended his career 6th all-time in regular season games played, 2nd all-time in assists and steals, and 3rd all-time in three-pointers made with 1,988. Only Kobe Bryant made more all-defensive teams as a guard, and because of his two-way impact, Kidd is one of the top 10 point guards of all time. Jason Kidd was basically a coach on the court, so it's no surprise that after his playing career, he's become an elite head coach, leading the Mavericks back to the finals for the first time since 2011, when he played on the team. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Check out some of our other content.